Hi there, Malcolm here with my 105th BookTube video, and today I'll be bringing you my October wrap-up and possibly November TBR. Now I managed 12 titles in the month of October, totaling 2,465 pages. So I managed to up the number of pages from the previous couple of months, which is good, and also 24.45 hours. Difficult to do listening when I'm not commuting anywhere, but that's still not bad. I've still not calculated what I've done compared to last year, but I do believe I am still ahead, which is nice. So 12 titles to get on with, let's get cracking. So first up is Chew Book 2 International Flavour. And this follows Detective Tony Chew, who has the ability to nibble on something and know exactly what happened to it, where it came from. Means eating's a bit of a problem, unless it's beets, which have no psychic resonance whatsoever. But it's very good for nibbling on a dead body and finding out who did the deed. And in this one, he ends up going to an island to investigate stuff where his brother has also gone, who is a very successful chef, particularly when it comes to chicken. But in this world, chicken has been banned due to a deadly strain of bird flu, which has stricken the human population, meaning that chickens are now a controlled substance. However, there's also a conspiracy about the fact this is all a cover-up for something else. Anyway, his brother's gone there because they promised him chicken he can cook with, because it's not on American soil. But Tony ends up there as well for reasons I can't quite remember. I read 4 of these volumes back to back. I'm having trouble remembering which happened in what volume. There's also a sort of a vampiric type baddie going around who is able to eat somebody and gain their strange ability as well as what he has, who fits into it somewhere. Anyway, grim, grisly, gross, disgusting and absolutely hilarious. I really enjoyed book 1, and book 2 is a great continuation. So booktastic. And as I just said, straight on to book 3, Just Desserts. Really can't remember what happened in this one, but it's more of the same. But good, more investigations, more yucky nibbling, and more crazy villains with their own special nibbling abilities and powers. Absolutely fantastic series. I do highly recommend this, but only if you've got a strong stomach. So, booktastic again, and then book 4 was Flambe. At the end of Just Desserts, some weird lights, like a weird aurora, appear in the sky. And this book follows that particular storyline, just what are these weird lights, what do they mean, how do they fit into anything else, as well as the other various murders and things that Tony has to investigate. Booktastic again. And then book 5, Major League, where he's had a slight change of career. He's been demoted to traffic cop, effectively, but then spends most of this novel having been kidnapped. A lot of fun. I don't think it was as good as the first 4, but I really enjoyed it still. And this intrigue behind this bird flu, this chicken control, is ongoing. Unfortunately, our local library only had the first 5 volumes, which is quite impressive in itself, really, because normally I have like book 3 of something. So to have 1, 2, 3 on 5 is quite nice, but I want to now get my hands on book 6. So absolutely booktastic, love the whole lot. I will certainly pick these up if I see them in shop somewhere. And after that, I then read another library book, The Witcher Fading Memories. I think it's book 4 or 5 of this particular series. We've got an omnibus of the first 3, and yeah, this is more of a continuation. Although they're not really a sequential thing. It's just another adventure, another thing goes on. And this one was a little bit disappointing, really. The artwork wasn't great. It was very basic, I would say, a bit two-tone, very basic and washed out. And it's basically looking at the concept of having lived for so long and having fought so much that he's running out of things to fight, and also forgetting who he really was, because this is all he's become. You know, he's almost killed all the monsters, and what does a monster killer do, or what becomes to a monster killer if there are no monsters left to fight? But of course, there will be monsters to fight. It was alright. I said buy it, but I think more for completion's sake than anything else. And of the Witcher graphic novels I've read, this is arguably the weaker one. But it was okay. And then after that, I then read Aliens What If. And this basically is a what if story from the Aliens film, the second film of the franchise, where Carter Burke here, I never knew his first name was Carter, he was just Burke to me, survives the alien horde. Now a nice little recap on the front here of the scene in the film where they're under attack from the aliens. He goes to the door, locks the door so that the others can't follow, turns around, and there's a xenomorph right in front of him. Game over. Game over, man, game over. But in this one, that plays out the same way, but instead of killing him, it takes him and he ends up waking up webbed to a wall with an egg in front of him ready to hatch. And then we cut to the scene in the ventilation shafts where we have Gorman and Vasquez with a grenade. It goes off, knocking Newt down into the sewers, but also knocking Burke free from his entrapment, and he's able to get out and sneak aboard the ship when Bishop comes down, and he witnesses Ripley's epic fight against the alien queen, and then is able to quietly go his own way. And so we jump to about 30 or 40 years later, when he is the overseer of some remote outpost. Basically, he was made the scapegoat for the huge loss of life in the events on that planet, and so as a punishment, but also to keep him quiet, they put him on some remote place with his daughter to oversee some mining and things like that. Anyway, he's able to get his hands on an alien egg, and history begins to repeat itself a bit, but for different motivation. He's not a greasy arsehole, he's a stupid arsehole. Really enjoyed it. As I mentioned in previous videos, I love What Ifs, the Marvel What If series on the Disney Plus is my favourite Marvel show that they've done. Absolutely looking forward to watching season 3 coming up in next month. Very disappointed to hear it's the last one. Really enjoyed reading the What If novels. So really excited to see that it was What If Aliens. Hoping to see more from this, not necessarily from this particular universe. It's gone down, this has told its story, but I'm sure there's a load more stories we can have in What If with aliens, or Predator, or Terminator, or gosh, what if indeed. Absolutely love it, booktastic. And the artwork, yeah, pretty good. And for the squeamish, it's one of the least visceral. I mean, there is a couple, but there's not as much as you'd get in some stories. And after that, I then read my book of the month, which was The Three by Sarah Lotz. I have done an individual video for that, so I'll leave a link to that below so you can go check out what my thoughts on that were. Please do so, if you want. I'm not going to make you. And after that, I then read Marvel Select Scarlet Witch, Witch's Road, to tie in with a certain Marvel series that's come out recently. And in this one, Wanda Maximoff goes on the Witch's Road for reasons, accompanied by the ghost of Agatha Harkness, and all of which we soon learn, and there's a big fight, and that's about it. And then there's an extra story as well at the back, which was actually really good. The Witch's Road was okay. As it's a collection of comics, the art style changed between each issue, which did annoy me a bit. I do like a consistent art style, particularly for one story. And the story itself just meandered a bit too long. That could have got to where it was going much sooner than that. There was also some weird panel choices. It's all very stylish and quite nice to look at, but the reading order of this wasn't really clear. You had to read the double page a couple of times to just work out, okay, how am I supposed to read that? All very clever and stylistic and different, but the main point of the story is to be able to access it, and if you're struggling to read it, then it's not a very good layout. I think also sometimes goes across both pages rather than down one and then down the next, but it doesn't tell you, and so you work out, hang on, what's going on? Just a couple of things that take you out of the story as you're working out just how the hell am I supposed to read this? Yeah, worth reading and ideal for fans of Scarlet Witch. And the story at the end, A Whisper, I thought was really good. Really enjoyed that one. And after that, I then finished listening to Necronomicon by H.P. Lovecraft. Rather, it's a collection of short stories by H.P. Lovecraft. This, I've discovered, doesn't actually exist in novel form. I do like to note down the page numbers it would have been had I read it, and this doesn't actually exist as a novel, so I had to go down the various individual short stories and find out how long they were, and then tally it up. It's about 340 pages or something like that. Anyway, I had read all these short stories before, but not in this order. I didn't have them read to me by these various different narrators. And this was a pretty good collection, actually. It's got things like The Call of Cthulhu, which is really good. The Rats in the Walls. My all-time favourite, The Colour Out of Space, which if you only do one H.P. Lovecraft story, do that one. And various things about Whispering in the Darkness, or The Horror of the Darkness, or The Dark Horror, and various other titles, variations. They're all good stuff. Now, H.P. Lovecraft does come with a slight disclaimer in terms of his blatant racism that is portrayed through his stories, and it's something it's worth knowing about before going into it. And however, I would say that this is a safer collection. Certainly, Herbert West Reanimator is possibly one to avoid. It's an interesting Frankenstein retelling with basically the same plot point. They reanimate the dead, and it has less than pleasant results. And again, they kind of abandon the monster to its ramblings rather than put it out of its misery again. And for most parts, it's fine until they acquire the body of a recently deceased boxer of colour. And he does overdo the description of just how repellent the man's visage was, even in life. So, okay, you don't like black people, we got it. And so that was laid on a little thick, which did sort of grate a bit. And then when he re-emerges as a creature later on, it's again not just the fact that he's a creature, but he's even more awful because he's a black man. It's like, for goodness sakes, come on. And the only other one is The Rats on the Walls, which is a really good story, but he has lots of cats, and the main cat that features throughout the story doesn't have the best name. But if you're able to look past the fact that he's not named it right, I think in the I looked in my Penguin version, Penguin collection I've got, and he's been renamed as Tigger, which reads a lot better than the original iteration of the name. But apart from that, I don't believe that issue crops up again anywhere else. I think the Horror at Red Hook, he does again discuss the visage of a character as black, but that's more in terms of nefarious and unpleasant as opposed to racial. The individual himself is a sort of blend of human and something else. So that one I will give him a free pass on because it's more in the terms of black bad, but not because of racial black bad. Anyway, but it's always worth going in knowing those. But yeah, a really good collection of stories, alternate story to the Frankenstein story. And I think it can be enjoyed on that level, except for this portrayal of this poor boxer. But never mind. He's not in it much, but it's worth knowing about. Yeah, worth buying. I do have The Call of Cthulhu and Other Weird Stories by Penguin, which I believe is the better collection. This collection had some of those and some from his other stuff as well. After that, I then read Marvel Select Thor, Goddess of Thunder. This sees Jane Foster donning the helm for the first time, really, and just trying to get to grips with her newfound powers, along with not dying of cancer, which is a big difference as well. And Malekith's up to a thing, Thor's no longer worthy, and it's a really good tale. I really enjoyed her portrayal of the character and the other characters' reactions to the fact it's a lady. You know, there's certainly some guesswork as to the identity of the lady behind the helm, and Thor is convinced that she's his mum, leading to this fantastic scene. They have previously been an item. She kisses him. Do you still think I'm your mother? And his response is a brilliant, I certainly hope not. It also features a short story with her with the Warriors 3 as they set us some challenges. They go, you know, you're not really worthy of the hammer unless you can do these. And she's all like, well, I have nothing to prove to you, but why not? They look fun. Let's do them anyway. And that is indeed a fun story. And the final tale has a team up with a whole bunch of other heroes as they go and do a thing. And, you know, they go and do a thing. Lots of action, lots of quips, lots of great stuff. And it's great seeing some heroes I've not actually seen before or know anything about outside of what I've seen in Marvel Snap. Highly recommend this one. Booktastic. And after that, I then read Marvel Select Wonder, the Scarlet Witch and Vision. This basically is a collection of stories following these characters. There's a sort of revamped origin story for Wonder, a revamped origin story for the Vision, and then a reprint of their original wedding, which happens to be a double wedding with some other characters. It's mid-plot of some other ongoing saga, so you do go in, not really know what's going on, but you pick it up quick enough, but there's an awful lot going on in there. And then we finish off with another reprint of the origin of our boys, Tommy and William, and I think this came out as the WandaVision TV series came out. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. It is very good. Stick with it. It's a bit weird to start off with. It's like, what am I watching? But then as the stories unfold, it turns out to be really one of the better things that Marvel TV series have done. And during the course of the show, the twin boys are born, or come into existence for a bit. And here's and here they have the reprint of the story where they originally come into creation. And let me tell you, both me and my wife, when we read this, I've had the response of, just what am I reading? This goes places you just do not expect it to go, and then beyond. I think, what? Just what? So I'm going to give it worth reading. It wasn't great. I think the thing with the boys was just disturbing more than anything else. And I certainly think what they did in WandaVision was a much better origin story for them in that version of reality. It was nice seeing some of their stories as they were told way back when. Just be grateful that storytelling has come a long way since then. And then finally, I read Return to Eden, Book 3 of the West of Eden trilogy by Harry Harrison. This is a reread. Not read these for a long time. Basically, the dinosaurs didn't die out and evolved into the Yeleni, bipedal intelligent creatures that basically have occupy planet Earth. However, in the north corner of America, from the slopes of mountains, as retreating from the encroaching winter, come humans. And these two species basically want to kill each other on sight because they both consider the other one as disgusting and abhorrent. The first 2 books are pretty much the story of that war, and it's all pretty well tied up by the end of the second book. So I know it's a reread, but I didn't really remember much about it because it's like, well, what more is there to tell? Basically, it's the next thing. What happens next? Once we have peace, we have these 2 different species living, not necessarily in harmony, but certainly coexisting in the same planet. How long can this peace last? And how long before things start going wrong? It also tells the tale of a splinter group of Yeleni who have settled in South America and their adventures, as well as their attempt to show to live a different way to the established status quo. Something that the humans also eventually realise that they need to embrace as well. I absolutely love this. It's a deeply rich world full of wonderful characters, situations, settings. Highly recommend this trilogy. The third book, one could argue, is a bit unnecessary, but it's really it's lovely staying with these characters and seeing what happens next as their torch is passed down to the next generation. And it also sees the end of certain things, certain conflicts once and for all, and the beginning of things that are new. Absolutely brilliant, booktastic. Yeah, not the best of the 3, but still bloody good. So that was my reading, my planned reading for November. Bearing in mind it's the 16th already. My book of the month, Starter Villain by John Scalzi. I really absolutely loved Kaiju Preservation Society, which I read last year. It was my favourite book of the year, even though I read it almost as a first book. So really excited to get my hands on another John Scalzi. Starter Villain basically sees a supply teacher inherit his uncle's criminal empire, complete with volcano layer. So really looking forward to reading that one. And then after I've read that, I'll then move on to A Slip of the Keyboard by Terry Pratchett. And this is basically a collection of non-fiction articles that he wrote for the newspaper, speeches he gave when he becomes an honorary this, that or the other at certain universities, accounts of him becoming a writer, and the progression of his Alzheimer's diagnosis. Never got to meet him, but having read virtually everything he's ever written, I feel like I know him so well. And after that I'll then read Interesting Times by Terry Pratchett, a Discworld novel. I've read this before, I've read all of them already. I'll just continuously go through them. And this one, it's Rincewind going to the Counterweight Continent, a pseudo-Chinese style setting, where he meets up with Two Flower again from the first 2 books, and goes on another adventure, generally running away from one thing and ending up even worse situations further down the road. And after that, I'll then read Quantum Leap Loch Ness Leap by Sandy Schofield, and he jumps into someone at the loch side of Loch Ness, where there is a person trying to prove the existence of the fabled beast, and there's something to do with his father-son estrangement or something. Quantum Leap in Scotland. And after that, I'll then read Primeval Extinction Event by Dan Abnett. This is also a reread, although for the life of me I can't remember what this was about. I've just read the blurb, don't remember this at all. So, bodes well, doesn't it? But looking forward to rereading this one and learning, once again, what this was all about. If you haven't seen the TV show, do so, it's really good. But yeah, that's my planned reading. And to my wife, I'm currently reading The Mercy of Gods by James S. A. Corey. This is book 1 of their new series, The Captive's War. Not to be compared with The Expanse. This is not The Expanse in any way, shape or form. It's not even trying to be The Expanse. This is a whole new kettle of fish. Far off distant future, mankind has colonised the stars and blend the biology of a native species to a species they brought there from Earth of old. And then they're invaded by aliens whose technological advantage is just ridiculous. And so they get massively defeated within moments. And this group are taken to an alien planet to repeat their success with 2 other alien species while finding out the laws and rules of this new environment. So far really good. Some great characters and pulls no punches. So working our way through that. Actually, we're expecting to finish it this month. And if we do, we'll then move on to series, trilogy, duology, whatever. Adrian Tarkovsky is fast becoming our joint favourite author. I'm on to the 3rd book of the Children of Time trilogy. We've done Alien Clay, Service Model. We're listening to City of Last Chances on Audible at the moment. Yeah, can't seem to get enough of the amazing Adrian. And similar to Mercy of Gods, this also seems to be a invasion story where the invaders are just insanely more advanced than the people who are defending. In this case, we have more of a civilization of various alien species that coexist to greater or lesser extent. in a sort of Star Wars style galaxy. But this is all set after. As you can see there, this thing in the bottom left hand corner, that is what's left of Earth. A thing has come and destroyed Earth and done that to it. They call them architects because they create these beautiful pieces of art, but at massive cost of life. And then they went, or did they? So looking forward to reading this one. I'm currently listening to Pandora's Star, book one of the Commonwealth saga by Peter F. Hamilton, read by John Lee, who also read the Night's Dawn trilogy that I listened to earlier this year, or last year, or whenever it was. So that was, there's different technology, different space, different craft, different information access style. So that took a little while to get my head around, having been so used to the Night's Dawn trilogy and that universe he created. And effectively in this one, again, like Shards of Earth, there's a inter-alien civilization with humans that exist, and everything's fine as much as it can be. And then somebody notices that 2 stars simultaneously go out. Well, they don't go out, they get surrounded in a shell or a Dyson sphere, meaning that either something has the ability to hide themselves, or something else has entrapped something else, or an alien species has trapped another alien species behind a cell, as it were, to keep them contained. What is going on out there? Shall we go and find out? So really good so far. Yeah, so we'll see where that goes. Currently halfway through that one. Well, there you go. That's everything. I hope you enjoyed that. So was there anything you liked? Anything you didn't like? Comments down below, please. But as usual, if you have nothing nice to say, then please keep it to yourself. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, completely ignore everything after 2 seconds. All those YouTubey things. And until next time, see you later.